Hey everybody, Red J here. I'm going to be doing a hangar discussion about a very specific, very exciting ship. It's going to be a surprise reveal, hopefully, for anybody who's not been to the Uverthazi. Uh, just went yesterday, of course, masked up and everything. They make you do that. And the place closes a little earlier, but it is open, and it is a really cool place to see if you haven't already seen it down near the Dulles Airport in Washington, D.C. Uh, this right here is a picture of their Airbus, I think, sponsored center for plane training, like be a pilot for a day type of situation. I wanted to show those who really like HOTAS and the things like that. It's hard to see, but there are yokes at each one of these stations, and the PCs are nothing to write home about. But I thought it was actually really interesting. I thought the speaker placements being placed on top of those might be helpful to folks who are into that. But yeah, as you can tell, I was not. First of all, the place wasn't open, and second of all, I was not involved with that. But here's a more clear picture. Sorry about that. And here you are. You can see the yokes pushed into the gaming seats, and there's the speakers next to the double. It looks like double screens. Screen here, and then I'm guessing a screen here. Um, and then the controls have their own little like station, so to speak. That's not the PC. So the PCs are like on the one side, and then the controls are on the other. So like this would be the controls over here, this shorter box. So like the PCs here, the controls are here, and obviously the yoke and the flight sticks and everything are there. And then there's the pedals. So those who are into that community, I have no idea what I'm looking at. It just looks like a very decent training simulation system. But if you are into that community, don't hesitate to enlighten us in the feedback on the comments, or just hit me up in Discord if you don't want to be public about it, etc. It's always good to see these type of things. And also at Uberthazi, they have the Discovery Space Shuttle. So I am going to desperately try to avoid making this feel like it's home photos. And I wanted to show you guys a sneak peek. I am likely going to do a video comparing this to the RSI Zeus and talking about how exactly it is not the RSI Zeus and what it got right. You know, the RSI Zeus got right and what makes it feel different. For starters, spoiler alert, the Zeus is big. um, but the space shuttle is pretty damn big, especially when you're standing there in person. Thing is multiple stories tall. Like that picture on the top right, you had to climb a staircase to get that shot. You can see the different size thrusters. There's even more up top, right above this picture line. I have another picture that does that. And then you can see the ceramic tiles literally run all the way down to the open doors for the landing gears. They have protection, so when the shuttle is belly landing through a heat, it protects the engines. I never realized that there is that belly landing protection there at the bottom of the engine mounts. And no one told me any of this. I just literally looked at it and I could see, like, oh, okay. I understood the shuttle went on its belly. I didn't know why, other than maybe it helped it once it is able to achieve some type of basic guidance with these rudders and such, which are all heat treated. One of these is what failed, by the way. One of the shuttles, when the ceramic tiles were cracked and the heat was allowed into the wing, that's what failed on the ride back in. That we lost a shuttle. You can also see the ceramics literally are lining this. It's almost like a suit of armor. Every single little piece is carefully put on. And then finally, this shot here is a pretty cool shot. I'm pretty proud of the fact nobody's in it. Just to prove to you, this is not a shot that they use for their website or something. This is the shot right beforehand, and you see all the random people walking around. But it's amazing if you take a knee and you angle the camera upwards and you use a wide enough angle lens, what you can get done. Um, you can do a lot of these things, even with cell phones or R8 cameras. Like I have an R8 camera. I'm pretty happy with the results, and yeah, I'm probably gonna use this as a wallpaper for a while. So, long story made short, the Uber Hazy has a lot of stuff. But what is the main event? You talked about hangars. What are you showing me all these weird pictures for? Okay, well, I get you. So, the other side of the Uber Hazy is a restoration center. It's the Mary Eugene Baker Restoration Center, which didn't mean a lot to me either until I started actually looking at one of the things that's there. They have an X-wing T-70B starfighter, X-wing basically, at the Mary Baker Eugene Restoration Hangar. So this place is huge. They also have an amazing aircraft from World War II called Flakbait. If folks are interested in me doing historical videos, let me know because I captured a lot of video about discussions with it, and I also spoke with one of the volunteers who works on the museum side, and I talked with him a little bit about Flakbait. And it's an amazing aircraft that helped win World War II, that they managed to recover, because it was carefully saved because it was one of the most heroic bombers, medium class bombers of World War II. Uh, and they started the preservation process in 1946. That's the key words. But anyway, long story made short. Here is the X-wing inside the restoration hangar, and you can see the gantries that are holding it in place. You can see that they're chalked down below, and just like any real aircraft, you have a lot of equipment that a modern or historical aircrafts would be used preserved by. I also find it interesting that they have gone out of the way to do prevention measures to stop scratches, I'm guessing, and dropping of tools on top of the I'm going to call them flight surfaces, but really we deep down know this thing is not meant to fly. This is a prop. But they're still treating it like an aircraft and with the respect it deserves as being an historical item, which is really cool. And I think is something that is worth mentioning that, a hangar is something that is meant to preserve. It's meant to protect. It's meant to take care of things that are fiberglass and metal and plastic. And this is actually on a very large scale. And this place was very well equipped. There's a piece of flak bait back there. But anyway, the biggest thing with this center is that you have to remember it's built for real aircraft. And it's something that we can learn from for Star Citizen. So if we had a hangar which is able to handle very large craft, what would it require? And I think of persistent hangars that are coming soon, and then I think of later own, especially player owned hangars, and I could see them having a large amount of parts inside the hangars and being able to have the ability to even bring in things that you wouldn't expect. These gantries are nothing more than trolleys that are designed to handle weight. And to me, especially with the way trolleys are phrased in Star Citizen, you can do a heck of a lot with just four wheels. And I think this would be really cool to have trolleys that can handle, at the very least, parts of a spaceship, and also be able to, uh, even support the much deeper reworking of craft, like something that's beyond a repair tool of a multi-tool or something, or maybe even beyond what a crucible can do out in the field, even a gigantic crucible. Definitely beyond what we could expect from anything sub crucible. I would say that this a hangar will be able to do better in eventually. One of the other things I think was really cool was them having a crane, a literal crane, being put up on its outriggers and being set up to basically support the operations of moving large pieces of metal and crates and stuff, and probably whole parts of spacecraft, or in this case, aircraft. See, I'm having fun with this, but at the same time, there's a little bit of actual story here. um, these large doors can open just like our doors can, and at a hangar, I think that's one thing we keep forgetting. It's not just a place to store a ship; it's also a place to repair, retrofit a ship, be able to keep supplies for it. If you look at in just this restoration hangar, which is a bad example, there's an immense amount of supplies inside this area. There's also a lot of tools that you wouldn't expect, like what you would expect: a sheet metal bending equipment, welding equipment, supplies. Here's a large. Let's see if I can find one of the better pictures of this. Here we go. Here's a better picture of the restoration area's sheet metal shop, showing that they had a large amount of supplies of sheet metal. They have a mini gantry that allows them to pull out the different sheet metals safely, be able to pull them out, and then this system like suction cups them and brings them over, and then you can bring over a trolley or a cart and then bring them to the machine that needs to bend them. So these machines have like CNC capabilities and bending capabilities, all combination of those things. And then over here is their welding shop. If you look over here, barely visible is the welding, and I can't even read that. Welding and something shop. But their welder area clearly isn't used that often. They have a sheet metal shop. They also have a lot of storage for equipment in this shop. I was trying not to do searching, but I need to grab one more picture that I didn't have on hand. So there we go. These are the supply areas. You can see like all the different parts that they have standing by, and it's really cool to note like these are modern parts right next to ancient wiring that has to look exactly like the original aircraft's wiring. And one of the other cool things is nearly half the shop is store area. If you note here, like these crates, these crates, these crates, these crates, these crates. One of the things with video games is we can literally do the hand wavium and say, "Hey, we don't need to have all this cargo directly inside the hangar. We will have cargo elevators that will then take it to the cargo storage areas off site or on site, and then we can queue that back up when we need it." So, my hope is, even though in real life you would need all this equipment, I hope that we see the equipment to actually restore the craft, but not all the material that is on the tables, that is on that is on this location, that clearly would be needed if this was a real place, but it's not. In our game situation, we can learn a lot, but there is limitations, and we just have to note, like, hey, they don't need to have that type of equipment like we do. Um, they need the type of equipment that we do not, and I would say that there's a lot to learn from this, though. I gotta say, it was quite an amazing experience to see a T-70 with an actual like rolly cart for a mechanic to lay on while he's working on the wiring and the paint job and all the body work. you know, I wish the people were there when I took the pictures, but they were not. I did not see anybody doing work that day. This was on a Sunday, so I would suspect that if I came back during the middle of the week, you may actually see that. But yeah, modern tech taking care of a sci-fi spaceship prop. And maybe, who knows, someday we may see, even in Uverthazi, a true spaceship. I don't know. Maybe like a space shuttle. And, some of its other brethren. It's funny how life imitates art. And in this case, art imitated life. The Discovery, I believe, came there before the the T-70 Starfighter, X-Wing. um, and the Discovery is the prime creature right behind the SR-71 Blackbird, another vehicle I took tons of pictures of, and I'll probably use them in the Zeus video, because I want to go in depth with a lot of the discussion about how we have done as humans have done so far heat management around a craft. But I'm trying to be very careful in how far and how deep I go, because plain and simple, I'm not an expert in these fields. I can only rely on what these amazing sources right here from our past have showed us, and then try to extrapolate that and then compare it to what the RSI Zeus was rendered as. So it's kind of one of those things I'm dancing around, and I'll see how far we get. But I thought this was fun. I thought it was a little different. I would say that with hangars in Star Citizen, we need to be mindful of the limitations of a persistent hangar. Once again, the persistent hangars will not be your hangar per se. It's more of a hangar you're renting, and it should have a lot of services. But I'm curious to see exactly what it is and it is not. So it can handle cargo. Okay, well, I just showed you half of a hangar, of a restoration hangar at least, is all cargo. And hangars I've been in before, where they're smaller hangars, they're usually wedged full of aircraft of all different types, because space is a premium. But when we had the hangar module in the past, in the early days of Star Citizen, basically in the hangar module, you could spawn one ship or possibly two. Like they were kind of in a row if they were smaller. But if it was a big enough ship, it just took up the whole dang hangar, and that's it. And there was a lot of dead space around the edges. There was like props of like different material and like piles. There was also the ability to drive your gray cat around. There was enough room to do such things. It was just there wasn't hangars like this. There wasn't hangars where you could just kind of park everything like Jenga blocks and put them all next to each other in configurations where there is a lot of room to work. And you, if you notice, almost everything is on wheels. That's an important distinction here. With trolley tech coming online, that means there's a lot of things that are possible that we normally wouldn't. Like, for example, these doors. These doors need to be able to open, but because craft don't constantly come in and out, it could be, I think the volunteer said, it could be 6 months to a year before they open one of these doors. They'll open one side, they'll move one aircraft out, and leave everything alone. Um, Everything's on wheels, so they can use this area as workspace during most of that time when they're not doing anything. Like, I mean, there's some serious equipment over there. There's a drill press just hanging out there on top of a tool cart. Uh, there's a lot of different ratchet straps, like but very large cargo hauling tie down things, rolls of metal and materials. There's some serious stuff up against this wall, and this is all extra space that they have gained because they don't have to keep that door open all the time. I don't think we're gonna have that in Star Citizen, even in player owned hangars. I mean, you could probably have something crazy like that, but I think all that stuff would be set on fire by your thrusters as you leave. So we got to be mindful of our limitations. That we will have an active hangar, but I would love to see some of the technology of repair gear that I witnessed down at the Uverthazi Restoration Center and be able to extrapolate that. And by the way, the X-wing is being prepared for a exhibit in 2022. So it is coming up. Let me just grab that pile one more time and make this bigger so you can actually see it. This is what was up above. The T-70 X-wing starfighter first appeared in the Rise of Sky. This X-wing appeared in the Rise of Skywalker. Was invented for the Star Wars: A New Hope in 1977. X-wings take their name from distinctive profile when attack position. The X-wing is being prepared for its display in the museum's building at the National Mall beginning in late 2022. So this one right here is being only lent by Lucasfilms Ltd. So of course all rights are theirs. And it's going to be in the National Mall location, so that would be the official Smithsonian Air and Space Museum. But right now, it is at the Uverthazi. And I suspect if you go in the weekdays, of course, following safe, whatever, and everything as allowed, be sure to check it out. It's at the back of the place. Basically, you walk right past the Discovery Space Shuttle after admiring that. Go up the steps to your left, and it'll be right in your face when you walk around the corner. And hopefully, if you go during the week, you'll be able to see people working on it, which would be a pretty cool experience. And if you do, please, please, please share the pictures. So it'd be kind of cool to see that actually in work and see what they're doing. And maybe even get some hints about what this is made out of and how that process goes. I strongly suspect there's a lot of plaster, fiberglass, that kind of stuff on this thing. It does not look like it's metal very much. But it must weigh a bit because they have, or they're worried about the wings. Maybe because the wings have motion to them where they split, because the engine splits as well. It's really weird to me how these gantries are. I suspect they have an eye bolt that's through-bolted through it, and then on the bottom it's holding it in place and adding support. So basically the two wings are being held together. So if somebody was to, say, step on one by accident or drop something on it or something like that, they would be stronger. Like this is like the shipping configuration. Like they have those bolts that hold it in place. They hold them literally lock the X-wings, not in attack formation, but the open design, but closed. They're locked in their closed position by this bolt, I suspect, to protect the craft. And if you look forward, there's no landing gear. There's nothing there holding it. So I think that's why this was here. But yeah, so a lot of exciting stuff. Persistent hangars are going to be this weird thing that I think are kind of sort of personal hangars, kind of sort of not. We're going to have to wait and see what the devs say about what exactly they are able to do and not. But The biggest takeaway is persistent hangars are not tied to a specific door. Like a real world hangar has to have this specific door, has this specific craft be able to pull out of it, probably on a flatbed or a really large crane, like the one parked here. But you have to think about the fact that um, when you're talking about your hangar, you're going to have a instanced hangar that is not attached to a specific door. And once again, this is the way I think of it. It is not officially this, but there is going to be dozens and dozens and dozens of instanced hangars that will spawn if you have a place that you're staying at. In persistent hangars, the tier 0 implementation, I believe it's called, there will be each person on the server will have their instanced hangar ready to spawn. You go near your hangar, it spawns. It will be sitting in basically the ether. You take your elevator to that place. You do not see outside of this instance hangar. You work on your ships, maybe work on your things like this, and have all these equipment, or the Star Citizen equivalent of this equipment, and you get your cargo out of your cargo elevator, or wait for the timer. Work with your NPCs and players as that becomes online. First of all, it'll be players, and then later on it'll be NPCs as well. Everybody forms up when you are comfortable, not when they rush you out the door. When you are comfortable, you queue up the spaceport control, and you say, "I need to leave." You get on the comms, and that's it. As you do that, there is this server side trickery going on, where the entire hangar is being moved to a location, a real world and exit point. So now you have an actual door in front of you. And then the doors start opening. So, Roger, you are clear to launch. And then the doors start opening. You are now at a real world location for that short period of time. You're now on the clock where you have to take off and leave or cancel. Go into your comms and cancel your takeoff, etc. That is the process as I understand it. And the way I think of it is you're in a gigantic elevator. The entire hangar becomes a giant elevator. You take a tiny elevator to get to the big elevator, and then the big elevator goes to the spacecraft doors, the spaceport doors, because that's the best way my brain can process what's happening there. And if there's not enough doors available, so during IAE or your Invicus, jump week, fleet week, and you are just rocking away, and every single other person is also spawning at the same place and wants to break out their ships as well, or the new test ships they just got for free, or say a free fly event that's just about to happen. Suddenly, if this was persistent hangar time, you would have situations where there's too many people for not enough doors. The solution will be they will tell you, sorry, you need to wait a few seconds. So as people exit, you can try again 30 seconds, a minute later, and then just bam, now you get yourself a door assigned. So I stand by what I said before, that within a short period of time, everybody can get out, even at the busiest of servers, especially because the highest number I've even heard the devs throw around for a server is 100 people. So, I think that 100 people is not the end of the world to try to get people through. Most of these spaceports have dozens of doors, at least 20, 22, something like that, 24, between pads and doors and such. But the doors are going to become the name of the day. We've already seen at least one dev mention that Port Olisar's goal is to have doors, not pads. I think pads will slowly but surely die off for anywhere that can spawn a ship. Spawn a ship. I didn't say everywhere. Pads will still be important for NPC outposts, player-owned outposts down the line, and also R&R stations that are very, very small. So like the pyro refueling and that get out of here type station. They're not really meant for you to live on. They're not meant for you to log off in. They're more just meant for you to get resupplied and get out. Like they're an emergency of emergency places to just get fuel, maybe some level of food, and get water and just go. Those type of places will likely have pads. Your security post Korea will obviously have pads as well. Places that you're going to fight over will have pads. But I think that we need to keep in mind that these hangars are more meant for civilization. I was gonna make a lightsaber reference of Civilized Age, but it's not appropriate, I guess, because I've already X-winged us up a little too much, Star Wars this up a little too much. So I'm sure that this discussion's kind of fun. This was free form. It was meant to be that way. It was meant to kind of be a little tongue in cheek, a little bit of fun. And when I saw this, I just went, wow. And I can't wait to see something like this in Star Citizen where I can really get at my ships, tweak them, tear them apart, mod them, and really get at them, and have fun with it. And this right here was like, was really fun for me to look at that way. I literally cleared my mind of anything Star Wars, even when I was taking these pictures. I was thinking of I was thinking of the fun that it would be in Star Citizen to be able to do it myself. Not watch a movie, not watch a TV show. I want to go, I want to mob my ships myself. And that's the beauty of Star Citizen that it really gives me. So I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see persistent hangars. And later on, of course, player owned hangars. And yeah, let me know what you think of this type of format. These are real world pictures. This is a real discussion. And it's also a topic not about a Star Citizen ship per se, but more just trying to base a star what possibly a hangar could be when you're working on spacecraft, and have some fun with it. So let me know what you guys think, and wish you all a wonderful day and fly safe.